All right, we're going to continue with our media availabilities here. We've now been joined by Kyle Larson, driver of the number 42 Credit One Bank Chevrolet, and we will open up for questions from Kyle. If you have one, please raise your hand and state your name and affiliation. Who would like to kick us off? All right, we'll start with Dustin.
Dustin Long, and can you hear me? 1 2 1 2.
There we go.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Kyle, I know you did some testing at Phoenix this weekend, and I think this past week you were using a little bit of the 2019 package. In what ways did that feel any different, or how did it make that course feel different compared to the 2018 rules? And what was it like with the start-finish line where it was?
Yes, we did about half the day or a little bit more in 2019 aero package, and it's just got way more grip. We ran through some different tire compounds and stuff to get an idea, and all of them had a lot of grip, so you could carry a ton of throttle. The acceleration obviously wasn't the same as the 18 package just because you have the bigger blade and stuff on the back, so a lot more drag. So acceleration wasn't quite as much, and it was pretty crazy how far you could run in the corner, and then also how quick you could pick the gas up. So I don't know what it's going to do for the racing at a track like that, but I feel like if we go there with a hard tire, like kind of what we were testing on or what it seemed like Goodyear liked, I felt like that would be hard to race, but they still have time to tweak on it and hopefully bring a tire that'll match for that aero package and hopefully put on a decent race.
John Smallwood, Philadelphia Inquirer. Kyle, I know it's been almost a week now, but can you just still reflect back on how things change in the playoffs and how quickly everything can just go from one way to another, and then how that stays with you going forward?
Last week was interesting. I mean, we were in a good spot to win the race, and then that caution came out, and then on the restart, we all obviously went down the corner, and none of our cars turned, and we crashed. And I had a ton of damage, and very lucky that my team was able to repair it enough to go, pretty much coast around for a few laps. And I was also lucky, with the, crash damage policy or whatever, that we only had 3 laps left in the race because I wouldn't have made minimum speed. But that didn't end up mattering. And then, it was just working out to where, I kind of knew the position that I was in, and, the 88 and the 10 were both passing cars and, helping themselves out in the points. And then with Jimmy crashing, I guess with Jimmy crashing, it really didn't affect me other than, the 96 crashing. I was able to get that point and then go into a 3-way tie. And then we had that second place finish at Vegas that helped us out. So pretty wild. I'd kind of given up, that last lap, and then about halfway through it, they said they were crashing. And it took the 96. The 96 couldn't get his engine refired, so I got really lucky. And so hopefully that means something for us, and we can take advantage of the opportunity we were put in last week and go out there and have a good rest of the playoffs and maybe make it to the Final Four.
All right. Jerry, go ahead.
Jerry Jordan, Kicking the Tires.net and PRN. A couple real quick. First off, your thoughts going into next week, another wild card race with Talladega. Get your thoughts on the strategy for that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to have as good of a start to the round of 12 as you can here at Dover to help ease your mind a little bit going into Talladega. Obviously a win would be great, so you don't have to worry about that place. But, I mean, I feel like our strategy in the past, I look at last year, we had a lot of playoff points, so we could kind of play it easy a little bit last year, and we were able to have a shot to win and got in a crash there late, but there was so many cars that had crashed. We finished 12th, I think, and left there with a decent amount of points. But then we blew up at Kansas, and it didn't matter. but now, we don't have a whole lot of playoff points. So I feel like depending on how this weekend goes, we'll have to probably go out there and, try and gain some stage points and get a good finish and, cross our fingers that we don't get caught up in a wreck.
And one final, you've had the bad luck of the playoffs. The luck kind of turned, as you said, in your favor last week. How does that feel to know that maybe this will be a good trend?
Yeah, we'll see. I had much more good luck last week than I did bad luck, but I still did have bad luck. I feel like being in another position to win a race with a 2-car, probably not being able to make it on fuel, and we were going to be fine on fuel. So I was just kind of riding behind him, and then we had the caution there. So I feel like I'm a typical bad luck then, but then bad luck. I guess you can call it bad luck. I mean, I kind of screwed up on that restart, but then we had a ton of good luck. So maybe this year's a little different. We'll see.
All right, go ahead.
Tim Kedefem with WRSU Sports. Kyle, I had 2 questions for you about the rules package. First off, I know you were testing this week out in Phoenix, but from what you have seen and what you anticipate next year, do you think that with the slower speeds that this package is projected to have, that's going to impact your ability to run the higher lines at some of the bigger racetracks that you'd like to do?
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably, but then at the same time, it's going to be way easier to run the wall. So, with having the big spoiler on the car, you'll be able to run. I think it's probably gonna hurt me more because now it's gonna make it easier for other people to be able to run the top. I kind of think back to like 2014 when we had the big spoiler and at Homestead, where nowadays I'm like the only person that can run the wall. But then I remember I'd get stuck, 10th place or something just because everybody could run the wall. And we had about, we had a tall spoiler then, and we're going to have an even taller one, I think, this year or next year. So I think it takes a little bit of my advantage away at tracks like that. But our cars are also a lot better than they were back then, too. So it might be different.
And then specifically, did you have any input when you were going through the Drivers' Council, mentioning to them what you would like to have in this package? Like, what was your input, if any, with NASCAR and with the Drivers' Council?
I'm not in the Drivers' Council, so I haven't been in it for a few years now. So I didn't have an opinion.
All right, go ahead.
Kyle McFadden from the RacingExperts.com. Kyle, now that you've had 2 weeks to digest the Greg Honnett fatality, how do you remember Greg as a person and a driver, and what do these tracks, mainly the outlaw tracks, what needs to be mandatory at these tracks to be as preventative as possible for fatalities?
Well, it wasn't an outlaw race where he passed away, so I don't even think the outlaws go to BAPS. So it's just every racetrack needs to look at what they got and try to make it better. I'm thankful to race in NASCAR where we have the money and the knowledge in engineering and all that to not only build safe race cars, but bring things to the racetrack that make our sport safer. So a lot of those dirt tracks, they don't have the resources to make their facilities as safe as say Dover or any track that we go to on the circuit. So I feel like in sprint car racing over the last handful of years, we've worked hard to make the cars safer, with tethers and things like that. And now next year adding bars to the roll cage and trying to beef up areas. But I don't really feel like we've worked too hard until recently to make the facilities safer. So it definitely sucks that you have to go through a tragedy, like we've had a couple times this year, to have racetracks kind of look in the mirror and think of what they can do. But also it wasn't until Dale Sr. lost his life that NASCAR also started really working hard to update their stuff. So it, I think you saw with Williams Grove last week adding barrels and stuff in areas of the racetrack that they thought were dangerous is definitely an improvement. So, like I said, it stinks that you have to have a tragedy like that in order for tracks to update. But now's a good time, and it's going to take a couple years. It's not something that can happen overnight, and that sport's never going to be 100% safe. NASCAR is never going to be 100% safe. So just got to keep working hard, and hate that we lost Greg Hodnett. I didn't know him personally a ton, but I did get to race with him quite a bit the last few years. Seemed like most all the races I ran, or at least half of my dirt season that I've ran the last couple years spent in PA or Knoxville and stuff, racing with him. So we've had some great battles at Grandview the last 2 years, and then Knoxville. I've always felt like Greg Hodnett was one of the greatest sprint car drivers of all time. I don't know if he was underrated or what, but I feel like maybe the new generation of fans and drivers didn't really get to appreciate Greg Hodnett that much. But for him to be able to accomplish what he did on the road is something that a lot of Pennsylvanians haven't had the chance to do. So, he's a legend, and he'll be greatly missed.
All right. Microphone to Bob, please.
Bob Hawkers, ESPN. You kind of answered this a little bit earlier, but I wanted to ask, can slower be better for racing? That's what we were told earlier this week when briefed on the rules package.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you can't really answer that until we see the product on the racetrack with the full field of cars. So, me being a diehard core racer, I would say no. But at the same time, the All-Star race was more exciting than any Charlotte race has been on the oval. So, I don't know. I want to go as fast as I can, but we also got to work hard to put on a good show for the fans, and not only that, but I think with NASCAR's plan to try and help the sport out into the future, as far as cost goes, I think that's where a lot of this package kind of leads to. So we just got to wait and see. There was only 4 of us at Phoenix, so and none of us ever really ran nose to tail. So we'll see how it goes, but I'll be driving and trying to win the race just like I am now.
All right. Any additional questions for Kyle? Okay, we'll take one more.
Okay, Art Elsner, WXCY Radio. Kyle, Harry Gant and Richard Petty used to run the wall here at Dover. Why can't it be done now?
I don't know. I never watched Harry Gant race, so I don't know. The cars are obviously way different. So, that's the cars and tires are different. So that's what I would probably point to. It depends on, too, the temperature outside. Dover is really temperature sensitive. So, cooler temperatures these next 2 days. It warms up a little bit Sunday. So, you might see people move up. I run the top here. I wouldn't say I run inches off the wall, but I don't think I've ever seen anybody run inches off the wall, not even in the old videos I've seen.
Yeah, but they did.
I'd like to see some video, though.
All right, next question.
Dustin Albino, front stretch. Kyle, Josh Wise came over to Chip Ganassi Racing last year. I'm just curious, how has he helped you as a driver?
Yeah, Josh is, he's been a huge part to Chip Ganassi Racing. In the beginning, I don't work out at all, so in the beginning, I felt like they were bringing him in to kind of, be Jamie and ours personal trainer, and which it's great. But I didn't know at the time, and maybe he didn't even know at the time, of what all his kind of job was going to entail. So, you know, I worked out a little bit and enjoyed it at times, but I haven't at all this year, and I tell myself every week I need to, but I don't. But aside from that, you know, he does, the simulator, I used to hate going to the Chevy simulator, but now I feel like it's actually to a point where we can learn stuff off of it, and that's all been because of, you know, Josh, and not all of it, but I would say 75% of it has been Josh and his communication with the engineers and stuff like that. So, you know, in that part, he's been really good. And then, you know, I think pre-weekend kind of preparation as far as, you know, sending notes and in-car videos and, you know, talking about restarts and the way the track changes throughout the race and lines change and stuff like that. All the stuff that you might think you know, and might think that, you know, I know it. I don't need to watch video and watch the race over to know that. But then you forget things, and, you know, Josh is really good at you know, note taking and relaying those notes to us. And I feel like, especially, you know, with John Hunter and Tyler Reddick last year, he's been so good for the younger guys that don't have experience and are super hungry to make it in the sport. So it's been really cool to kind of watch John Hunter and Josh this year from a distance a little bit and see, you know, the dedication that they both have to, you know, being at the top of this sport. So I hope we can keep Josh a long time, even if I don't work out, because I feel like he's a huge asset to our team. So, and I will work out again someday, maybe.
All right, Kyle, we appreciate you spending some time with us, and we wish you the best of luck this weekend.